This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. I've been infatuated with my childhood friend for 7 years, and I've decided to stop. When she introduced me to a girlfriend, I agreed. Seeing me sweet with my girlfriend, she changed her mind and started flirting with me again, but I didn't accept. No one wants to be a backup choice forever. In the dim KTV room, Hailey was gazing at my roommate Peter, surrounded by cheers. Kiss her, kiss her, kiss her. Hailey smiled and was about to kiss Peter when she suddenly pulled back. With practiced ease, she picked up her drink. I'll drink to punish myself. Although Peter was pushed away, the pink in his ears showed he was still basking in the sweetness of the moment. To others, this was just a scene of gossip, but to me, it was painfully eye-catching. It was just a punishment for truth or dare. Yet I was seething with jealousy. Hailey, she was the girl I had a crush on. Perhaps my crush was too obvious. Everyone knew I liked her. Hailey was always the center of attention, beautiful and fit, definitely a rich girl. Boys who liked her could circle the school 10 times. I was just lucky to go to the same school as her since elementary and to learn piano from the same teacher. That's how we got a bit closer. Everyone envied me for having such a good relationship with Hailey, but only I knew I was just one of her many admirers. She always knew I liked her. I've lost count of how many times I confessed. Hailey never agreed or refused. Eventually, I smartly stopped mentioning it, knowing that if I did, I wouldn't even be able to remain friends with her. Every time she rejected me, I couldn't help but wonder if I still had a chance. It's hard to change such feelings. For 7 years, I still liked her unconditionally. She hardly ever contacted me unless she needed someone for a gathering. Today was one of those days. Hailey's roommate Serena was having a birthday party at a KTV. She messaged me, Rocky, number 38 Binhang East Road. Happy party KTV. My roommate's birthday, don't forget to come. She never gives me a choice. It's always a notification. But maybe that's because I never refuse her. I went, feeling spineless. Hailey, you lost again. Truth or dare? I'll choose dare. Choose a guy here and kiss him. Serena, you're doing this on purpose. Hey, I just let you off the hook before. This time, no drinking to brush us off. Okay, since it's your birthday, I'll do what you want to make you happy. The only guys present were me, Peter, and Hailey's other roommate's boyfriend. So, Hailey had to choose between me and Peter. When Hailey's gaze swept over me, my heart nearly jumped out of my throat. I hoped she'd choose me, but I didn't want our first kiss to happen in such a joking manner. I nervously lowered my head. What came wasn't the long-awaited kiss, but cheers from everyone. I suddenly looked up. What met my eyes was Hailey kissing Peter on the forehead. So, she'd rather kiss someone she barely knew than choose me. It's as if I was never Hailey's first choice. I was just her safe backup option. I abruptly stood up. I have something to do. I'm leaving. I stepped out of the KTV and checked my phone. No messages. Right? The atmosphere had already heated up. My presence or absence meant nothing to them. Yet I still greedily hoped she'd send me a message, even just a polite one. But if she wanted, I'd go back immediately. But nothing. Finally, after I returned to the dorm and took a shower, Hailey called me. I didn't have her saved, but I recognized her number at a glance. I thought not saving her name would hide how much I cared, but it was just self-deception. I chuckled bitterly. I answered the call. Hello? Rocky, why did you leave early? I moved my phone away from my ear to check the time. It had been a full 2 hours since I left the KTV, and she only noticed now? I had something at school, so I left. Oh, okay. Sorry for not hosting well. By the way, Serena said you're handsome and wants to meet you. I had her add you. Be sure to accept. I didn't have time to refuse before she hung up. Sure enough, a new contact request popped up on WeChat. Hailey, what do you really think of me? Just an ordinary friend who can be offered as a resource? I felt frustrated, but then I realized, what right do I have to blame her? After all, I'm not her boyfriend, but she clearly knows. I like her. Peter returned. I then learned that it was only after the party ended that Hailey realized I had left. The feeling of disappointment weighed heavier on me. I was typing my paper on the computer, but my thoughts drifted elsewhere. Peter leaned over and asked, Rocky, are you mad that Hailey kissed me? Everyone in the dorm knew I liked Hailey. I replied irritably, no. Anyone could see I was unhappy. But Peter persisted in provoking me. Well, it seems Hailey doesn't really like you. Between us, she chose me. You were just pretending to be close to her. She probably didn't even notice your features. I felt a pang. I used to think Hailey and I were close since we've known each other since elementary school, but her behavior today shattered my confidence. I didn't want to engage with him. I lay back on my bed, yet he leaned in again and whispered, did you know Hailey plans to help Serena pursue you? My expression darkened. I wanted to deny deny it. But thinking of Hailey's WeChat request message from earlier, I had to admit Peter wasn't lying. This wasn't the first time Hailey had tried to introduce someone to me. I had told her I would agree if she did again. She dismissed it, as if she was sure I would always chase after her. If she's trying to set you up with someone, it means she doesn't like you. If she really did, she wouldn't push you towards someone else. Don't you understand? That statement pierced my heart like a thorn. I broke down. Peter, has anyone ever told you that you really act like a scheming person? He was taken aback. I yanked the curtain closed, ignoring whatever he shouted outside, because I knew he was also broken.
In class,
Hailey surprisingly sat next to me. Leaning on her elbows, she examined my face. Her gaze made a blush rise on my previously pale cheeks. That's how she was. Her casual actions could make my heart race. She suddenly leaned closer and asked, "Rocky, why didn't you accept Serena's WeChat request?" I was a bit flustered, but quickly came to my senses. She was just trying to help her roommate. I didn't see it. Impossible. You must have been pretending not to notice. She picked up my phone and easily unlocked it, because I had saved her fingerprint. "Hailey, what are you doing?" She turned my phone around to show me. It was indeed Serena's request. "What's this?" I was momentarily speechless. "I helped you accept it. You should talk to her. I think you two would hit it off." Her tone was excited, almost gleeful. I felt even more irritated and snatched my phone back. "Hailey, stop making decisions for me. I'm not deciding for you. I'm just helping you meet more beautiful girls. Otherwise, your dad will say he wants me to marry you, and I really don't want that." "Really? She doesn't want that at all?" As soon as she finished speaking, she waved her hand excitedly, likely greeting someone behind me. I turned around. It was the girl who had a birthday yesterday. That must be Serena. She wore a pink JK skirt, had twin tails, and exuded a cute vibe. A sweet voice rang out, "Excuse me, could you move in one seat?" I suddenly recalled when Hailey asked what type of girl I liked. Hailey was a naturally charming girl with captivating eyes, always shining in a crowd and exuding a mature aura no matter what she wore. But I remembered how adorable she looked in middle school with a white scarf and fluffy white hat. I casually said I liked cute girls. I didn't move. Hailey directly pulled me over, causing me to lose my balance and fall onto her. It felt like an electric shock. I quickly sat up, but my heart raced, leaving me a bit dazed. Serena's expression changed slightly, but she still spoke softly. "Hi, Rocky. I'm Serena." I stayed silent. Hailey nudged me. "Rocky, my friend is talking to you." I don't talk in class. I really didn't want to continue this and kept staring at the blackboard. Hailey messaged me. "Rocky, what are you acting all aloof for? It's awkward for Serena." "Me? Stop meddling. You're matchmaking recklessly." "Hailey, don't you like cute girls? Isn't Serena your type?" I stopped replying. After class, I turned around and walked out, not giving Hailey a chance. Yet she still blocked me at the door. Despite my efforts to avoid her, I couldn't escape. I had said that if Hailey introduced me to a girlfriend again, I would accept. "Do you really want me to be with Serena?" Hailey paused and didn't deny it. "Of course. She's my best roommate." "Okay, I understand. I thought it was time." Rocky, wasn't necessarily fixated on Hailey. The next day, after class at noon, my phone rang. It was Serena. "Rocky, are you free today? Can I invite you to dinner?" "Serena, I think we're not very familiar." I had made up my mind yesterday, but today I felt a bit shaken. Instinctively, I still wanted to reject other girls' advances. There was no reply from her. About 10 minutes later, my phone pinged again. "Hailey, dinner together tonight?" I didn't even have to think. I knew Hailey was helping Serena ask me out. Are you sure it's you inviting me and not Serena?" "Hailey, just come if you want. Okay. "Hailey, great. It's at Bijang Hot Pot, 7 p.m. I agreed, not because of Hailey, but due to my own promise. Back in the dorm, Peter started confusing me with his words. "Hailey invited me for hot pot tonight. Rocky, should I accept? If you want to go, just go. If I say no, will you not go?" I didn't give him any face. He continued, "Of course I'm going. Why do you think Hailey invited me and not you?" I didn't bother to argue. How did he know Hailey hadn't invited me? When I arrived at the hot pot restaurant, Hailey and Serena were already there, sitting on either side. Serena got up to greet me. "Rocky, you're here." I nodded. Without hesitation, I sat down next to Serena. Serena lowered her head, and her faint smile caught my eye. Actually, Serena was quite cute. Soon after, Peter arrived. Seeing me, his expression darkened, but he quickly turned to sit next to Hailey with a bright smile, greeting her. "Hailey." I had to admire how fast he could change his expression. Hailey, surprised to see Peter, asked, "Why are you here?" The atmosphere became awkward, and Serena quickly stepped in to smooth things over. "Peter was invited by me." "Hailey, you don't mind, right?" "Mind? He's here now, isn't he?" Peter looked awkward and could only smile sheepishly. My smile widened. Turns out even the smooth-talking guy could take a hit. To be be fair, Hailey's straightforward nature was one reason I liked her. The dinner was pleasant, mainly because Serena took care of me, considering my feelings and tastes. I had been focused on liking Hailey, completely ignoring my own feelings. Even though I had been confessed to by girls before, I always rejected them. I seemed to have never felt what it was like to be liked. Now that I felt it, it was quite nice. While chatting after dinner, Hailey jokingly brought it up. "Serena, don't you like Rocky? Why don't you confess to him?" "Hey, Hailey, what are you saying?" Serena lowered her head, glancing shyly at me. Peter chimed in. "Anyone can see that Serena definitely likes Rocky. What do you think, Rocky?" He probably still thought that if I got together with Serena, he'd have a chance with Hailey. Now, I was indifferent. Since I chose to let go, I had to be decisive. "Serena, do you really like me?" Serena buried half her face in her coat, blushing as she nodded. "Then, will you be my girlfriend?" As soon as I said this, Serena looked up, her eyes full of shock. Peter was also surprised, but quickly turned to joy. But what I cared about most was Hailey's reaction. She appeared calm, but she switched the cup she was holding from her usual left hand to her right. But I knew it was just the discomfort of something that had once been mine now being someone else's, not real concern. The room fell silent. I pressed further. "Serena, what's your answer?" "Okay, can I hold your hand?" With her affirmative response, I took Serena's hand and left the hot pot restaurant. I distinctly heard Peter behind us, "Get lost." From Hailey. I smiled to myself. Living for myself felt so good. After leaving the hot pot restaurant with Serena, I let go of her hand. I led her to a quieter street. I apologized to Serena, admitting I had just used her. I told her I didn't like her, but I was willing to be friends first. She looked a bit disappointed but nodded. For the week after the hot pot dinner, Serena invited me to dinner every other day, and I politely accepted. It was my habit not to let girls pay. Each time I wanted to refuse Serena's kindness, she would apologize repeatedly, asking if something from that event upset me and that she would change. Seeing her like this reminded me of my own past, when I couldn't say many things that were on my mind. Serena was a good girl. All devoted girls shouldn't be taken for granted. I began to respond as well. I thought maybe being compatible was more important than liking someone. Everything that followed proved this point, but that's another story. For the past week, I hadn't brought Hailey breakfast. Before, she never ate breakfast while at school, and her stomach issues never got better. Because I liked her, I cared. I had been bringing Hailey breakfast since middle school, a habit I had maintained for 7 years. Jack came back with food. "Rocky, Hailey's looking for you. She's waiting downstairs." Jack was my best friend. I peeked out the window and indeed saw Hailey. She had never come to my dorm before. I felt a sinking feeling. Was it because I had agreed to Serena's confession? I still went downstairs. For the first time, Hailey grabbed my hand and whispered, "Rocky, are you really with Serena?" I glanced at her hand on mine. Without revealing my emotions, I pulled away. "Hailey, isn't this what you wanted?" She fell silent, then released my hand and asked, "Did you kiss her?" I was caught off guard by the question. I didn't want to lie, but I also didn't want to explain. "Hailey, does this matter to you? We're just ordinary friends. Your question is a bit intrusive." My aloof attitude made Hailey pause. She handed me a bag. "Rocky, this is breakfast I brought you. Soy milk and youtiao, your favorite." I had brought her breakfast almost every day since middle school. For the first time, I received her breakfast, but I didn't want it. I didn't reach out to take it. "No need. You can keep it for yourself." Her expression stiffened. "Rocky, are you so cold to me now just because you have a girlfriend? Do you even hear what you're saying? How ridiculous. Isn't having a girlfriend about maintaining distance from the opposite sex?" I nodded calmly. "Yeah, Rocky, are you really willing to give up our years of friendship for someone you just met?" Hailey was quite popular at school, and seeing her down here with a guy attracted many onlookers. "Hailey, we can still be friends, but I won't go back to how it was before. Things have changed. When I loved her the most, she chose someone else." Hailey was taken aback, her eyes betraying her sadness. I turned and went back to my dorm. In the evening, Peter came back as if on a high, insisting on treating the entire dorm to milk tea. Even I, who usually didn't get along with him, was offered a cup. I didn't understand his odd reasoning, but I enjoyed the milk tea. Weekend, I was doing exercises in the library. Looking at the electronic screen for a long time made my eyes a little uncomfortable. I took off my glasses and rubbed my eyes. When I put on my glasses again, Hailey was sitting opposite me. "There's a buy one, get one free offer for milk tea at the entrance. It's a bargain for you." Naturally, Hailey pushed the milk tea to me. I can't count how many times Hailey has taken the initiative to approach me. In just these 2 days, it's even more than the sum of the previous 7 years. I didn't look up and push the milk tea back. One should not receive rewards without having done any good deeds. Do we still need to be like this given our relationship? "Rocky, why don't you dare look at me?" I was slightly stunned. The reason I didn't look up was was that I was afraid I would be soft-hearted. I summoned up my courage and looked up, only to see Hailey with dark circles under her eyes. "What's wrong with you? Haven't you slept for several days?" Her haggard look made me start to care about her unconsciously. "Rocky, you still care about me, don't you? I just can't stand seeing a panda sitting opposite me." I still didn't want to talk to her. "Rocky, I haven't written my experiment report yet, but it's due tomorrow. Can you help me?" So it was because she needed something from me that she came to me. This is very much in line with Hailey's nature. After all, I never refused her request before. I know that Hailey has always been fond of having fun. In high school, it was Bame who asked me to supervise her all the time. The same is true in college. Just because I didn't take care of her for a few days, she became so lazy. Words of blame were almost on the tip of my tongue, but I still held back. I said indifferently, "This is your own business. Solve it yourself." "Rocky, are you trying to draw a clear line with me now? Just because you like me and I don't like you?" She already knew my feelings, but being so unexpectedly and directly spoken out like this by her, I actually felt a sense of shame as if I were streaking. "Hailey, I do like you, but my feelings are not a reason for you to despise me, nor an excuse for you to order me to help you with your work. You are 19 years old. It's time for you to grow up. I can't help you forever." After I finished speaking, I buried myself in writing exercises. "Rocky, if you help me write the opening report, I will agree to be with you." She leaned close to me and spoke in an ambiguous tone, breathing hot air in my ear. A feeling of nausea welled up. Obviously, once upon a time, I so hoped that she would agree to be with me. But now, another extreme emotion surged up in my heart. "Hailey, is this how you think of me? If you think so, then I will only feel that I like the wrong person for the past 7 years." Because of the fluctuation of emotions, my voice involuntarily rose. The eyes in the library all swept over here. Most of them were the inquisitive gazes of onlookers. After all, Hailey is very famous in school. I felt a bit uneasy. I have always disliked attracting attention. I picked up my book and was about to leave. Hailey's face didn't look good. From birth until now, she has always had a smooth life. Rarely has anyone refused her request in public. At this moment, Peter appeared. Probably he had been watching the show from some corner long ago. As for the tricks of a bitch, he has really learned them thoroughly. He walked up to Hailey smoothly. "Rocky, why are you so mean to Sister Hailey?" "Sister Hailey, I am also from the computer department. I can help you write the opening report." Hailey took Peter's hand and seemed to be provoking as she said, "Rocky, did you hear that? Even without you, I can still manage it." I smiled inwardly. Peter is the bottom of our major. His own homework is done by others. Can he do the opening report for the finance department? Don't make people laugh their teeth off. Sure enough, as I expected, Peter used the same old trick again. He found a ghostwriter online to do the opening report for Hailey and got good results. Hailey was even more satisfied with her new tool. She seemed to think that Peter was much more convenient to use than me and no longer came to me. Everyone knows that Hailey changes boyfriends more frequently than she changes bags, but Peter didn't believe it and insisted on showing off in front of me, saying that he was the most special one. Yes, now Peter is particularly useful for Hailey. I saw the official announcement of the two of them posted by Peter in Moments. For some reason, I actually felt an unprecedented sense of relief and happiness. From now on, I only belong to myself. I have to say, this time, Peter was really generous to Hailey. In order to find a ghostwriter, I think he ate instant noodles for at least 2 consecutive months. He showed off his masterpiece in the group. I clicked to take a look. This article is indeed very well written. However, everyone knows what his level is. Isn't this like a werewolf exposing himself? Looking for trouble. I have no intention of taking care of these messy things. I just want to be myself. But such a high-profile act of academic misconduct, how could those who are dedicated to academics not report it when they see it? Soon, Peter's secretly buying papers was discovered, and Hailey's matter was also implicated. All of a sudden, Peter became an academic cheating person that everyone in the school shouted to beat. Also, Peter even got academic bonus by buying papers. Taking up someone else's bonus quota, it's reasonable to be criticized. Peter is thick-skinned and not affected much. He is just criticized by the school. But Hailey has always been pampered. Where has she ever suffered such grievances? Peter vented his anger on me after being frustrated by Hailey. Naturally, I won't spoil him. I directly shouted, "Peter, are you okay? Your humble and ridiculous self-esteem is hurt by Hailey, and then you come to me to show your presence, right?" I usually ignored Peter's provocations, but today I fought back. "Rocky, don't think I don't know. You like Hailey, but Hailey is my girlfriend now. It's none of your business to care. Yes, once upon a time I did like her, but now I won't play with you crazy couple anymore." Seeing that he couldn't get any advantage from me, Peter chose to shut up, but I clearly saw him cutting himself in the bathroom late at night. The blade cut across across his wrist, bleeding, but he seemed to feel no pain at all. Instead, he showed a strange smile. This scene was like a heavy hammer, hitting me hard in the heart, making it difficult for me to breathe. I clenched my fist, although I don't like Peter, but the most passionate emotions of a teenager are never a reason to be ridiculed. It's just his method that is wrong. It turns out that what one thinks is deep affection is actually a joke in the eyes of others. Suddenly I understood. Before, I was scolded by my brothers for being useless. For a woman, I was so desperate that it was really cowardly. But now, I am just an onlooker. I just think such behavior is really ridiculous. Peter's self-harm not only failed to win Hailey back, but directly led her to propose a breakup. It's unclear whether Peter couldn't bear the separation, or if he was affected by the strange gazes of those around him. He jumped from the 10th floor of the teaching building. The sight of Peter's mangled body gave nightmares to passing students for at least a month. I had always known Peter wasn't right, but I didn't expect him to be truly unstable. Later, we learned he suffered from severe schizophrenia. His paranoid and stubborn personality was not truly his nature, but rather a result of the torment from his illness. I suddenly recalled seeing him self-harm with a knife. I felt a pang of guilt. If only I had reported this to the school, perhaps Peter wouldn't have died. Peter's suicide was largely due to his illness, but this calm atmosphere changed when Peter's parents discovered his diary. The diary recorded how Peter had developed a crush on Hailey from the very first moment he saw her. It detailed how he fawned over her and even chronicled his self-harm journey, the pleasure he felt after hurting himself, and his thoughts of wanting to commit suicide. Peter's parents seemed to grasp at a last straw. Hailey became the outlet for their grief over losing their son. The school hung banners claiming Hailey had killed their son, demanding that she pay for it with her life. For a time, Hailey became the target of everyone's ire. Given Peter's parents' extreme emotions and the reactions from students, the school leadership feared Hailey might face danger, so they asked her to go home to recuperate. News of Hailey's leave of absence spread throughout the school. At that moment, I could only feel relief, thankful that Peter hadn't written anything. Peter's parents were indeed wrong, but Hailey's current situation was also of her own making. What I didn't expect was for her to come say goodbye. I then realized this incident's impact had spread beyond the school to the stock market. To quell the situation, Hailey didn't just take a leave, but directly dropped out and went abroad. "Rocky, would you like to go abroad with me?" When I heard Hailey's invitation, I felt a wave of confusion wash over me. Hailey's low tone revealed a faint plea. Her voice rang out again. "Dad said, as long as you're willing, we'll get married as soon as we return to the country." For a brief moment, I felt puzzled, but quickly realized it was simply because I no longer followed her, and she was a bit reluctant. "Rocky, I'm willing to be with you now. Didn't you say you liked me before? Please, come with me, okay?" Having been a tool for so many years, now that I no longer obeyed her, it was understandable that Miss Hailey felt disheartened, but this wasn't love. With the last remnants of feelings for Hailey, I patiently replied, "Hailey, the you I know, would never beg for anything. I've always liked the proud princess you were." Hailey paused in surprise. "Rocky, I love you." Once, this was what I wanted to hear most, but now it felt so jarring. I fell silent. Silence represented my answer. "We can't go back, can we?" "Hailey, I'm already with Serena." Tears rolled down her cheeks, heavily splashing onto the floor. The once proud Hailey actually cried before me, but it was truly too late. Her regret was genuine. Her tears were real. Only her declaration of love felt so blatantly false. Hailey went abroad. I, on the other hand, began my startup during my studies at a university. The next time I saw Hailey was 2 years later. Bame's company had plummeted after that incident, and he had even borrowed money from us. I persuaded my dad to lend Bame $3 million. Bame was straightforward, agreeing to the interest and promising to pay it back within a year. However, 2 years have passed, and there's still been no news about that money. Our family wasn't short on cash, so we didn't press the issue. The day after Hailey returned from abroad, I unexpectedly received an invitation from Bame. After I repeatedly declined, he actually brought Hailey with him and barged into my home. I was somewhat displeased at the uninvited intrusion, not to mention I was still Bame's creditor. Bame immediately started showering me with compliments. "Rocky, I heard you're running your own business now and have a net worth exceeding $10 million. Truly impressive for someone so young. Unlike me, who is already aging, I expect nothing more. Just hope my daughter Hailey can find a good match." I forced a smile. "Uncle Bame, Feel free to speak directly, no need for euphemisms. Bame paused and said, I think, since our families have always been close, now that you and Hailey have grown up, why not get married? It would be a lovely match. I understood all too well. It seemed Bame was unable to repay the $3 million and wanted to sell his daughter to settle the debt. What surprised me was that the once so proud Hailey would really lower herself for her father's debts. Hailey met my gaze but said nothing. I hesitated before speaking. Uncle, Hailey is a good girl, but Hailey's father pressed. But what? I no longer concealed the truth, but I got married last year. Upon hearing this, Hailey jumped up from the dining table, astonished. Rocky, you got married? Yes, the one you know, Serena. But unfortunately, she's at the beauty salon right now and hasn't returned. As soon as I finished speaking, I heard the door open. Hubby, we have guests? It was Serena. The moment Serena and Hailey's eyes met, the air felt tense. Serena broke the silence first. Hailey, you're back? Yes, Serena. I heard you and Rocky got married. Yeah, and if it weren't for you helping me pursue Rocky, we wouldn't even be together. Hailey's expression grew darker, but she could only force a smile in response. Serena had always been warm-hearted, enthusiastically inviting Hailey and her father to have dinner at our home. However, both were likely aware that their purpose for coming couldn't be fulfilled, so they hesitated to impose. My wife was generous and offered to see them off. We exchanged a knowing smile, both understanding each other's feelings. Hailey's father discreetly left first, and Hailey and I walked to the river. Near the villa, Hailey's eyes quietly reddened, and finally, tears as big as peas dripped onto the bluestone pavement, making a sound. I felt a bit lost. Hailey, why are you crying? Hailey hurriedly wiped her tears and choked out, Rocky, I missed my chance with you. Hailey, I know you and your dad are in a tough spot right now. The $3 million I lent you can be considered a token of our years of friendship. You don't need to pay it back. Hailey looked up, her eyes flashing with an unidentifiable emotion. I realized she might have misunderstood something. Quickly explained, don't get me wrong, I have no intentions of cheating. I just think that after this incident, we shouldn't have any further contact. I'm afraid Serena will misunderstand. Not accepting the money was also because I didn't want further entanglements, which could affect my relationship with Serena. The light in Hailey's eyes visibly dimmed. Okay, Hailey, I wish you happiness, and you and Serena should be well too. When I got home, I saw Serena cooking. It was a bit amusing to see her flustered. As expected, she would choose to mess up the kitchen when upset. I hugged her from behind, resting my head on her shoulder. Wife, what dish are you making? She freed a hand to touch my face, her tone tender. Your favorite braised ribs and tomato eggs. I rubbed my head against her shoulder. Wife, you're so great. By the way, how did it go with Hailey? I knew you would ask. I won't have any more contact with her. Ah, why? Because someone would get jealous. Serena pouted. I wouldn't. If you didn't, you wouldn't have put vinegar in the soy sauce. Serena hurriedly picked up a piece of rib, sniffed it, and indeed, it was sour. I messed up again. Hubby, I'm so dumb. I pulled her into my embrace, stroking her head and comforting her. It's okay. You don't need to be so smart. I just need you to choose me firmly. Rocky, you will always be my first choice. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.